That one's drilled deep to right field.
Hurts going deep for it all. Devontae Smith.
He has been fantastic in this fourth.
Wow.
A break in on goal, and he scores.
Back everyone to Two Mics All Sports. I'm your host Zach Chabey, joined by my co-host Joe Bro. What's going on, man?
What's up, Zach? How you doing?
I'm all right. Not the best I could be right now, obviously, with what occurred yesterday. But that's what we're mostly going to get into with this episode. So, obviously, yesterday was pretty loaded schedule in the NFL. But obviously, the Eagles had a pretty impactful game, America's Game of the Week against the Dallas Cowboys. And just to be blunt, this team has looked bad for a while now, and it finally caught up to them. And it's like, there's so much I could say about them. I could get so upset about them, but there's realistically no reason to, because it's what they've shown us ever since coming out of the bye week and realistically all of the season really raises the question of, is this team really good, or is this team like has the ability to be good, or is this the team we're going to get all year? So
Yeah.
but oh god.
No, yesterday was just pitiful. You had 14 penalties going into those final 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. And I'm just saying, like, if you want to be a winning football team, and did I agree with most of them? No, but at the end of the day, you are playing away in a stadium. You're known for getting the penalties as such. Especially against a rivalry game, you're going to get called for more penalties than what you imagine.
Yeah, I just think it just points to the undiscipline this team has, and it's mostly shown on the offensive side of the ball. At this point, there's not that much that needs to be said about Kevin Patullo anymore. He's a complete idiot. He doesn't know what he's doing, and time again, it goes to show that you can't promote within, because it all starts with what your head coach is. You see guys like Sean McVay, Shane Steichen, Kevin O'Connell, even though the Vikings aren't doing well right now, he's still a good offensive play caller. They're all head coaches for their teams respectively, and they call the plays. Even Sean McVay, for example, like he calls the plays for the Rams. Like, you can't have an offensive coordinator and promote within when your head coach isn't good at calling plays. Obviously, Sirianni has experience, but he really wasn't calling it in Indianapolis. It was Frank Wright. That's the main reason they hired him all the way back in 2018. He was brought here mostly to fix up the culture, and he did that, but at the same time now, this team doesn't need any more culture or anything. This team is a Super Bowl caliber team, was what we think every year, but just the stupidity of these moves, and then we already went through this in 2023. I hate to keep bringing that up, but they kind of make it this way with the stuff they like to do. Like, why bring back or why promote a guy in the system with a guy that shares the same play calling, shares the same motives when it comes to calling an offense that Sirianni does. You bring in Kellen Moore, who, don't get me wrong, he's good, but he's not great. The only reason he is in the Saints right now is because of the opportunity he had last year. He knew what the strength of this offense was. There's no need to sugarcoat this. The way I know I mentioned like a while ago, Kevin Patullo is the type of guy, he sees a nice pizza and decides to throw some pineapple on it. After yesterday, this is what here's another example of how bad Kevin Patullo is when it comes to calling offense. For example, you give Kevin Patullo a test. You can give him the answer sheet, he'll still find a way to fail. It's that plain and simple. Like, he does not know what he's doing. He has zero experience in the league, college level, and even freaking probably high school level when it comes to calling plays. He has no idea what he's doing. And we went through this argument earlier in the season, and it's still coming up. Saquon Barkley had 10 attempts. He is a non-factor in this offense. No one is scared of him anymore. He just doesn't, and I don't even care. If anyone has to say anything about him fumbling, you can come say it to my face, because I don't give two caps about what you have to say about Saquon Barkley. He is the only reason why we got to the position we were last year. Obviously, we had times where the offense came more passing, but Saquon Barkley has done so much for this team and does not deserve to get the hate for his fumble yesterday. It's inexcusable to score 0 points in the second half. I get your offense hasn't looked efficient. I guess the penalties are a big thing, but that starts and finishes with the head coach and your offensive coordinator inability to get this offense to do things. It's borderline malpractice in this opinion, like the way they do things. Tank Bigsby, who's been your number 2 running back, had 1 attempt. He's averaging 9 yards a carry every time he gets the rock, and you give him 1 carry yesterday. And then this even goes to the special teams level. Xavier Gibson has not been good all year ever since he arrived in Philly. His dumbass decides to take it from the 1 yard line, 1 or 2 yard line, and then instead of trying to maybe I would even take it a fair catch at that point because at least you're not doing anything stupid. That's an easy touchback right there. You don't touch the ball and you get the ball at the 20-yard line. Not only does he go and get it at the 1 yard line, he decides to take it back like an idiot and gets absolutely killed by the Cowboys. It's complete stupidity. Why is he out there? There's a reason he got cut by the Jets. He's not good. If you get cut by the Jets, you really aren't that good. So, but you wanted to say something?
Yeah, no, it was. I don't know what he was thinking. I guess he wanted to play the hero in that situation, but there's no need. That's choosing me over the team in simple terms. You know what you got to do in that situation. If you, like you were saying, if you call the fair catch, all right, you're stuck at the 2 yard line, or maybe you were worried about his safety at that point. You don't want to get caught getting the safety. But if that was the case, you know how deep that ball is kicked. Let it go. If it takes a bad hop and it rolls out of bounds at the 1 or 2, you can live with that. If it goes forward, you gain yards. And if it goes backwards, it's a touchback. So I don't know what he was thinking in that situation. And Kevin Patullo, holy shit. It's just bad, man. This is not the same Saquon Barkley as last season. I said it before. Everybody adapts. Not every player is going to be the same player the next season. Saquon is that same player, but the defense is adapted. They know your strengths. They know last season he was almost considered the MVP over Josh Allen because of his running, how he almost broke a single season record if he would have kept running against the Giants last season. So obviously teams are going to adapt to your running game. And it's not even like you have that big offensive line anymore. Everybody's hurt. You can't run behind your second or third string guards and centers and expect the same result. And then if you're running the ball on 3rd and 23, you're not giving yourself that big of a chance to convert for the tush push on 4th and 1 or 4th and 2. And hats off to Tank Bigsby for being a great RB2, because that's the only positive yards we're getting in the running game as of late, other than the push, because teams aren't expecting him to go off for these 10, 20-yard runs like they would Saquon. So teams are realizing, all right, let's stack the box. Let's make Jalen Hurts throw the football, or let's try to make sure we can contain the run, and we'll take our chances with A.J. Brown, because as of late, they're not passing it to him. He had the first touchdown of the day on yesterday, but other than that, what did they do, Zach? Run the ball. You see something working, you don't change it. You adapt to it, and you advance off that. Patullo just said, all right, A.J. Brown works, Devontae Smith works, Goddard and Calcaterra work, so let's run the ball with Saquon Barkley on 3rd and 22, and hopefully that also works when it's shown in the past that it doesn't, and it just brings Brandon Mann back onto the field for another punt.
Yeah, and I think a good thing to mention is Saquon would get his runs, but they were so sporadic. He wouldn't get consistent attempts. Those 10 attempts were scattered all throughout the game, and it's you bring up how they're stacking the box. Jalen Hurts is getting blitzed insanely like this. The Cowboys defense isn't even that good, but they look like an A+ defense against us in the second half because we gave them exactly what they needed. A perfect example of what Kevin Patullo is. You have 3rd and 2. The game is 21-21. This is the Eagles' last possession. And last year's or years past, you're handing the ball off, or even last year, you're handing the ball off to Saquon Barkley. But you're so stupid and boneheaded that you don't even know how to have an efficient run game. You feel more confident and Jalen Hurts throwing the ball, which he got sacked by Oso Digizua because they know they can't run the ball. So he probably would have been stuffed there anyway. But still, you don't even have any confidence to hand him the ball off. Nor maybe you could even put Tank Bigsby in there. Maybe he would have, because they, like you said, they're game planning more on Saquon, which has given Tank Bigsby the opportunities to do that. But then you put him a non-factor in this offense. And then it's just like 2023 all over again. When they would have DeAndre Swift in, you knew they had a chance of running the ball. But when we get to these 3rd and 9s, 3rd and 10, they put in like Kenneth Gainwell. Now they're doing freaking Will Shipley. No disrespect to Shipley. But when it's 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, you know exactly what they're doing. So the defense is stepping back their coverage, and they know it's a passing play. And Jalen Hurts, he's not getting sacked as much as he did in the earlier season, but he's having to escape the pocket and not getting to his reads successfully. And then, why was Matt Pryor even in the game yesterday for a play? He comes in and commits a penalty. The penalties just kept wrapping over again. This offensive line is banged up. Mekhi Becton was a bigger loss than a lot of people thought he was going to be. I was one of the people, I was so upset when we lost him because he was big here. The size of that man, he was able to create so much lanes for Saquon Barkley when he ran to the right side of the ball. And now you can just see Tyler Steen's not bad, but he's no Mekhi Becton. He's half the size of him. He's not a good run blocker. He's barely able to pick up pass protections. And Jurgens is playing banged up. Lane Johnson's already out. Dickerson and Mailata have been very below average this season so far. And it's just this offense, man. Jalen didn't have a bad passing game through the air, but all of his stats were really exemplified in the first half rather than the second half. And then I'm not even blaming the game on this defense. You finally played a good offense that knew how to beat you. It was that plain and simple. George Pickens is easily a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL this year. CeeDee Lamb, although he has butterfingers for hands, still made some key catches. Javonte Williams had over 100 yards, and then Jake Ferguson was big. And then Dak Prescott, he plays big in the regular season. You weren't going to play a freaking Jordan Love offense. You were going to play Jared Goff. You were going to play in their stadium, no weather elements as a excuse or anything. And defense, even with the Xavier Gibson, they stopped them on 4th down. So Dallas got no points out of that drive, and we just gave the ball right back to them. So it's just a perfect example of Kevin Patullo, and I'm even pointing this to Nick Sirianni. I think Kevin Patullo has been getting most of the blame this season, which he easily should. But this is hugely on Nick Sirianni. This has happened again. Management gave you an opportunity last year, and you fixed yourself up by bringing in offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators that weren't part of the system the year before. But then they give you even more freedom. They let you even choose your own offensive coordinator, and you're right back to square one because you don't know what you're freaking doing. It's plain and simple. Sirianni, realistically so, Sirianni's a culture guy, but at the same time, he really doesn't make any impact. It's not like we can hand the play calls off to him right now and it would be any better because he likes to run the same exact offense. This was the same shit I was seeing his first year here when he was in Philly. When we had young Jalen Hurts, rookie Devontae Smith, when he would be throwing go balls on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down. And then, can you answer me this, Joe? How come they've gotten away from the under center plays that worked against the Vikings and the Giants?
Like I was telling you before, if it's working, change it. That's just how it goes. A.J. Brown, touchdown, change it. Let's just run the ball. Oh, look, we actually are doing some success with something new. Let's go back to the old thing and see if we can now make that work. Because then by the time you do go back and adapt to that thing that worked before, the new thing, teams have it covered by now. So let's not do anything consistently, and let's hope that teams don't adapt to the same game plan we've been running for the past 6-7 weeks.
I couldn't agree more. It's just like, you finally, Kevin Patullo, surprisingly, finds something that works in his dumbass offense and just decides to get away from it. He's like, oh, I have something good working? Nah, I don't need to use that anymore. Let's go back to the stuff that wasn't working. The third and 10 run plays, or the 3rd and 25 run plays, because you're backed up so many damn yards. It's just, I've said this over and over again with here and the people I talk to. It's pretty damn simple. This is the golden year of Eagles football. We are in the golden era of Eagles football. We look down 5-10 years down the road, Howie Roseman might still be here, but this team is not going to be the same and not as loaded as it is right now. And every season you waste, every year these players get older. So the way it looks right now, if they can't get this shit fixed, it's going to be another wasted season. It's that plain and simple. And the way I look at their schedule is they have Chicago on Friday. The 8-3
Sure
Chicago
hot.
Bears. They are. Although they haven't been beating the best teams, wins are wins at the end of the day. And for a young quarterback,
And they're beating good teams. They're not beating bottom of the barrel teams.
except
They
for probably
beat
the
the Steelers.
Giants.
I don't know. Giants are proving that they might be a threat.
The Giants are just a fun team, man, bro. It's like Jameis
They're,
Winston,
they're a team built. They're a fantasy football team.
they are.
They're drafted by. They're literally a fantasy football team for a first year person, never not knowing and just picking the names that sound good to them, and hoping it rocks. And honestly, if you're not a fan of watching Giant football right now, then I don't think you're a fan of football because they're a fun team to watch.
Yeah, they're a fun team to
It's-
watch, and you're getting better draft picks at the end of the day. Like, Wan'Dale Robinson had 30 fantasy points yesterday. I didn't think that was possible. But that's just Jameis Winston for you. Jameis Winston catching a touchdown pass from Gunnar Olszewski. The most
James
random.
Winston's that guy in general, Zach. I mean, he's just he's a comedy player in himself. Like his pregame speeches, his postgame interviews, and just his character. It's just something to just enjoy, sit back, and just watch.
Yeah. But just like looking at going back to what we were saying with Chicago, like yes, they beat the Steelers who didn't have Rodgers, but still Caleb Williams responded from a nice the fumble he had against TJ Watt. They responded well. There's no matter at the end of the day, no matter who they're beating, they're still winning games. That's huge for a young quarterback like Caleb Williams. And you know what Ben Johnson can do. He's already shown what he's done with this Bears offense. Although they're not beating the best teams, they're still winning games, and they look better than you do right now when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. It's that plain and simple. So that you have that game on Black Friday, then you have the Chargers on Monday night, then you have the Raiders, then you have the Commanders, then you have the Bills, and then you have the Commanders again. That's it. You don't have much time left to clean up whatever you think is possible coming into the playoffs. But
You can easily go 2-4 in these final 6 weeks. The Raiders, if you lose to them, then you got a bigger problem to look at. And beating Washington at home.
yeah.
The other 4, beating Washington, it's another interdivision matchup. These aren't easy wins. I don't care if they're a good team or a bad team. You've seen it with the Chiefs Broncos. Everybody thought the Chiefs were just going to be shut down Bo Nix and put quiet for the AFC West. No. The Broncos said, all right, we know what team we are, and they beat them. Same thing with the Chargers and everything. These interdivision games, the record doesn't matter. It's about how you go into that game if you overlook. We saw earlier this season when Philly went and played New York. They overlooked them. They got their ass kicked. So you can't overlook these interdivision matchups, even if Jaden Daniels is out.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. It's it's any given Sunday anymore, man, because, honestly, even the freaking Cleveland Browns with Shedeur Sanders look like they ran a better offense than you could yesterday. It's that plain and simple. Just because you look better on paper doesn't mean you're a better team that week. It's pretty spelled out every week. You could be playing the 2-9 Raiders, for example, but they just fired Chip Kelly, so maybe they can find some type of offense identity, maybe finally use Ashton Genty the right way, maybe finally figure out what's wrong with Geno Smith because he's been god-awful this year, maybe find a way to use Brock Bowers, Trey Tucker, but still, there's offenses right now that look better than you with worse records. It's that plain and simple. Your defense couldn't bail you out this game because they finally faced a competent offense. No disrespect to the Lions or Packers, but they were playing in tough elements. Jordan Love is one of the most, if not the most, inconsistent quarterback in the NFL right now. Jared Goff plays terrible in the cold, so you got the advantage off of that. But your defense can't give you everything, and they were even banged up too. Reed Blankenship getting out. Andrew Makuba, who's now out after a fractured ankle and who's going to need surgery, so he's out for a while because now you're going to have to put crash test Sidney Brown out there, which, good God, I can't even stand to watch him play. He doesn't know how to play safety.
I love watching him play. He's playing safety, all right, but he is a great special teams player.
But now he's going to have to start at safety.
That's fine. I mean, maybe he'll bring an energy to this secondary group that we need. That crash test dummy energy is what some pick-me-ups could happen for these 20, 30-yard runs up the middle. Maybe he sticks his head in there and knocks the ball loose once or twice, like we've seen in the postseason these past few years on kickoffs. So you never know.
I don't know. He's just shown me not that much as a safety to feel confident. Like I know there's a reason he's not starting and stuff like that, but just like if Reed's definitely out too, then I know we're screwed when it comes to the safety. Because if he's our best safety, oh my God, the Bears are gonna explode that very easily. But then even that, you had Reed go out, which was huge. And then Cooper DeJean, man, I think we found out very quickly that he is not an outside cornerback. So
I mean, that one ball to Pickens, that was an obvious hands to the fucking face.
It was to Lamb, actually.
Yeah, same thing, tomato, tomato. I mean, Jesus, Zach. They abused them. I'm not going to lie to you. They proved that there should be white cornerbacks in the league. But yeah, I mean, there's like I said at the beginning, there was some penalties that I thought were complete bullshit. But obviously Cooper was not ready to play that corner role. He's great as a linebacker. Maybe you rotate him in the secondary and see how he performs. Vic Fangio said it. He's a guy that can adapt to any position that we need him in the defense. Try him at safety. You never know what could happen. He's fast enough to get to that and to get to those like quick corner routes. And obviously he's not fast enough to be on the one-on-one and just get beat deep.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just we found out very quickly. Everyone was asking, we should just throw Cooper DeJean out there and stuff like that. And obviously it didn't work. Yes, that was a bad call that they missed on Lamb, that catch. But even then, he was getting destroyed by Pickens. He just kind of looked like he was lost on the outside. And for them to attack him just kind of showed that he just doesn't work there. And then honestly, just the pass rush wasn't able to generate anything in the second half. It really wasn't able to generate anything in the first half too. But just like, there's so much that like the defense has done for you this entire season that they should be getting barely any of the blame. Maybe like 5 or 10% of it. Like it's very small that they don't deserve majority of this. So, but mostly just like just looking at things as a whole, it's just like you had this game against the Bears and stuff like that. Let me ask you this before we give our quick Monday Night Football predictions and thoughts. How do you think this team can fix things up and have a good way to end the stretch? A good stretch to end the season.
A good way to end this season. One, you got to take out of these next 6 weeks. You got to split at least. You can't go 2-4 going into the playoffs. Because if you go 2-4, who knows if you make the playoffs with these NFC teams. Dallas just beat you. They're going to ride this out for as long as they can. They could easily take the division from you if you don't play capable of what we know this team is capable of. So, one, it's good for momentum if you don't end the season at least going 3-3. Beating teams like Buffalo will surely help. But in all, you got to have better play calling. You can't. And just mentally, like, you can't make simple mental mistakes. These flags, these catching the kick at the 2-yard line, expecting to make something happen. These simple mental mistakes that you need to learn and you got to adapt and improve on for these next 6 weeks because these aren't easy games.
Yeah, I think you pretty much said it perfectly. It's like this team, we know what this team can be. It's just there's a difference between what the team is on paper and what the performances they've been putting out. And the performances they've been putting out are very cause for concern because they're 8-3 right now. They could easily be 3-8 the way they've been playing right now because their defense has had to bail them out so much. Because if you look at the schedule, you barely beat the Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb doesn't drop those balls. Maybe Cowboys go down and score a touchdown to win the game. The Chiefs, you barely beat them. Travis Kelce doesn't drop that ball, and Makuba picks it off. Who knows what happens there? Week 3, it took a blocked field goal against the Rams to beat them. Then week 4 against Tampa Bay, you almost let them come back after being up so much points. And then week 5, you finally lost and stuff like that. But it's just every single game, maybe except for the Giants game here in Philly, has been very frustrating to watch. Even the Minnesota game, where your offense probably looked its most efficient through the pass game with Jalen Hurts having a perfect passer rating, it's just so annoying because this team has given us nothing to look forward to, nothing to try to grab and use for the rest of the season. So, but we'll see though. But just moving on to our Monday Night Football predictions. We have the Panthers and the 49ers. Obviously, this is a revenge game for Christian McCaffrey, his first game against Carolina. Is there anything you're looking forward to, Joe, for this game?
Yeah, there's definitely no bad blood between CMC and Carolina. They didn't really end on bad terms. Carolina knew where they were going forward, as they knew they weren't going to be this Super Bowl caliber team like San Fran was at the time. So if anything, they helped out CMC's career. So obviously there's no bad blood, but it definitely is some sort of homecoming for CMC to play against his former team. So it's going to be fun to watch, but I think it's an easy decision. I think San Fran's going to beat Carolina 34-7.
So you're predicting a blowout?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a close game. San Fran's a good team. Like, they're not a great team, but they're a lot better than, and I think Carolina is still in that rebuild phase. So I think it's going to be somewhat of a blowout, maybe 34-14, but it's not going to be a close game.
I do agree with San Francisco winning, but I think this game is going to be close, man. I know Bryce Young has been inconsistent this year, but like what he's been able to, the connection he's been able to build with Ted McMillan as the season has gone on has been good. And then Rico Dowdle has been one of the biggest surprises this year when it comes to running backs and just players in general. He's been great. And then this defense is even that bad. And if the Panthers win tonight, they'll be number one in the NFC South. So that would be a big for them, but I do think San Francisco is going to win. They looked good last week. They're starting to get healthy. They're starting to get their key elements back on the offensive side of the ball. They have Brock Purdy. They have Christian McCaffrey. They have George Kittle back, who's been huge. Ricky Pearsall, once he gets more acclimated back in, he'd be huge. Jawan Jennings. They have Kendrick Bourne. They have enough offensive pieces to get them into the playoffs, and they're playing well so right now. And they were also at a 7-4 record with the amount of injuries they've had. So, but I do think San Francisco is going to win, but I'm going to predict a 23-16 win by them. I think it's going to be very close. I think it's going to be very run-heavy, but I think McCaffrey's going to get in twice. And then the Panthers, they're going to do enough on the offensive side of the ball, but I think it's going to be a key stop by their defense that turns this game around and gives San Francisco the close win. So, but before we wrap things up, Joe, do you just want to give like an outlook as we usually do to like what we could see in the future? Or what to expect for the road ahead right now?
Oh, what to expect, definitely. Obviously, more NFL content as the season comes to a close in these next few weeks. Playoff predictions, MLB free agency, anything big goes on, like big signings. Later this week, I think me and Zach were talking about doing a Flyers and Sixers pod, just to kind of summarize how their seasons have been going so far. Zach, I don't know if you're still going to do it, but Friday, Zach said he might be going down to Link to get more interviews. I will not be going this time. My friend is coming back from West Point and going out with him. Other than that, just looking forward to a happy Thanksgiving to all our viewers, to Zach too. And that's all in the future.
Yeah, I think he pretty much said everything. But the one thing I do want to add is this is just something I'm going to do. I'll make a video post about it sometime at the end of this week or maybe tomorrow or something like that. For the 25 days of Christmas, I'm going to do something extra special. If you guys can send in your sports takes and hot takes, I'll put this in an own video so you guys can throw that in Instagram and YouTube. Give me your best sport take, and every single day for the countdown to Christmas, I'll give my reactions and thoughts about your sports take, and actually give, like, even if I think it's bad, I'll try to give my best on why I think it deserves to be talked about. So, but that's just a quick disclaimer I want to throw in. I'll make a video about that either tomorrow or later in the week. But like Joe said, enjoy your guys' Thanksgiving if we don't see you before then. But this is mostly going to wrap up today's episode. Thank you guys for watching. And other than that, make sure to like and subscribe, follow on the Instagram. We just hope we're just trying to get this content out more and more. So, and maybe when December comes around and we have more opportunities too, because now with school being on fall break for me, and then I'll be on an extended period break for winter break. So we'll have that all mapped out. But like I said, this is gonna wrap up today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching, and basically just look out for more. See you guys.